So, people have been asking me about choosing realtors, right? Now, obviously, I am a realtor, so um, I do have something to say about it. My screen just went crazy. But I want to talk about the mistakes that I see people make all the time, and I see them because they end up coming to me. So, the two biggest mistakes I see people make when they choose a realtor are one, they use someone who's a friend or a relative. I see that all the time. Oh, my cousin's a realtor, my mother's a realtor, my friend's a realtor, my friend's mother's a realtor, my mother's friend's a realtor, every single possible permutation of that. And what happens is that they feel like, well, this guy is going to do the best for me. And they sign whatever they stick in front of them. And the problem is that most realtors are terrible. I think the average realtor closes 1.2 deals a year. And think about all the realtors that are doing hundreds of deals a year. It's likely that the realtor you use, if you haven't really heard of them, probably does no deals a year. So the problem is that you sign up with someone, you don't look at what they tell you, and then you're stuck with them. So people come to me all the time and they go, I got a crappy realtor, and I use them because my mother told me to use them, or I use them because it's a friend of the family, or some stupid reason, and they stink, and they're not doing their job, and I don't know what to do. So my first absolute important thing is I would not use somebody I was close with, because you need you need the ability to say to them, this isn't working out, I want to withdraw the listing, or I want to release, I want out of this relationship. It's not working for me. Right? And it's very hard to do that if it's a relative, or if it's a friend, or a friend's relative, or a relative's friend. So don't ever use somebody that you're close with. I think it's a huge, huge mistake. Now, it's possible you could use somebody close with and everything works out great, right? If they're the top, even if they're the top realtor in your area, and if there are hundreds of deals in your area, that just means that they might know what they're doing. It doesn't mean that you are going to have a good experience with them. Again, I'm not saying you won't, but you want to get into a relationship that you can have the ability to end, that you have the ability to end. So do not ever use somebody that you have a relationship with. Number two, and these are connected, is that they don't negotiate the terms of the listing agreement. So let me tell you what happens, especially in situations like I described before, where the person is somebody that you know or a friend or a relative. They put a contract in front of you, a listing agreement, and they basically tell you to sign. They may or may not explain it, but it's going to be something along the lines of, you're going to pay 6% commission, and you're going to be in contract with them for a year. This happens all the time. So I personally think, it's certainly in New York, you should never pay more than 4% commission. Now, just as a quick plug to me, we never charge 4%, we always charge less. But also, I would not sign a listing agreement for more than 90 days. Now, why? So what most people are going to tell you is, and you're going to hear these words, and if you hear these words, this is a sure sign that you are talking to the wrong person. If they say something, anything along the lines of, my broker won't let me blank. So this was what happens. You go, hey, I saw this guy, Michael Pinter, he said you should sign a 90-day listing. They go, 90 days? That's way too short. It takes longer to close. My broker won't let me sign less than a year. If you push most, so if you go to a standard realty company, I'm talking about Century 21, Douglas Elliman, Keller Williams, all these places, they're going to put a listing agreement for a year. That's ridiculous and embarrassing between you and me. What the hell should take a year? We're in the hottest market ever. So if you hear the words, my broker won't let me, I would say to them, I'll look at the paperwork and I'll call you back. And I would never call them back. Because that's someone who doesn't have the ability to really do the things that you want, number one. Number two, if they tell you, well, my broker won't let me take less than 5%, again, walk away, right? It's just say, forget it. I'm going to use somebody who has that ability. I'm going to use somebody who has the ability to negotiate with me. Everything on that agreement should be negotiable. Everything. Now, this absurd idea that you need a year or 6 months is ridiculous, because on the standard listing agreement, there is an additional period of time. I take 60-day listings a lot, and I just put an additional 60 to 90 days to close. What that means is that my obligation to you to get a property under contract lasts only 60 days. Now, you always have the ability to extend it, but then I assume it's going to take longer for the guy to get his mortgage and to get through, if it's a standard sale, if the guy's getting a mortgage. So I give myself another 60 to 90 days in the end, but I can get anything at the contract in less than 60 days. And anybody who knows what they're doing should. So sometimes I'll go 90 days if we're having a disagreement about the listing price. But all that stuff is negotiable. So if you hear anything along the lines of, well, my broker won't let me or I can't, just say, you know what, I'll call you back. And never call them back because they're just fools, right? You don't want to use somebody like that. Anybody who's doing any kind of serious business has the ability to take a listing for whatever the hell they want. And if they're paying their broker, right? So if they work at Douglas Elliman and they have some deal with Douglas Elliman where they're paying them 2 points on each loan, then you know what kind of deal, how much business do you think they're really doing? They should have the ability to lower their commission, and they should have the ability to lower the time frame on any listing agreement. Anybody who doesn't have that ability is not someone that you should do business with ever. So I personally think you should not sign a listing agreement for more than 90 days, as I said, and I don't think you should pay more than 4% commission. Now, with us, again, it's 60 days, and we usually charge a maximum of 3.5%. And if we find the buyer, so the buyer doesn't have an agent, which I'll explain in a minute, it's only 2.5%. Now, what does that mean? That means you sign an agreement, let's say, for 4%. The standard agreement is going to allow for half of that, for 2%, to go to a buyer's agent. Now, this is an important thing that people don't know. Most buyers in Long Island and most of New York are represented by an agent. What that means is that most people believe that they are going to hire somebody to go find a house for them. And that buyer's agent is going to tell their client, that buyer, don't worry, you're not going to pay me anything. The seller's going to pay me. Now, what happens if a person just walks into an open house, a person is not represented? Most agents, almost every one of them, are going to take the full commission. We think that's ridiculous. So we cut our commission significantly when the buyer's not represented. But most people don't, right? And you could ask for it if you want. You could say, hey, what if you guys find the buyer, right? And there is no buyer's agent. I want a reduction. Most guys are going to look like you're from out of space. To me, it makes perfect sense. So those are the two biggest mistakes I see all the time. Using somebody you know that you can't fire and not really negotiating in a strong way about what's on the listing agreement. And people come to me all the time and say, I signed this shitty agreement and or I signed this with somebody I know. They haven't done anything. What do I do? And I always tell them, you got to get out of that agreement or you got to wait till it's over. So people come to me all the time and they go, I just want to sell to a buyer. I don't want to pay my listing agent. But they have to pay the listing agent if you're still under agreement with them, right? So you've got to understand, signing that listing agreement really obligates you to pay them commission, right? Even if they have nothing to do with the sale. It's standard, it's exclusive right to sell, exclusive agency. I don't know which one it is. What is it? Exclusive right to sell. That means whoever buys it, you still pay them a commission, right? So people come to me and they think, well, I got your postcard. I want to sell to you. I shouldn't have to pay them commission. And the answer is no, you still have to pay them commission. So signing a listing agreement for a long period of time that you didn't read for a large commission is always a mistake. Now you can get out of it. You have to tell them, I want to withdraw my agreement. You really want to release. Release really gets you out completely. A withdrawal means that if they can in any way insinuate that buyer came while the agreement was still in effect, they can come after you for it. Release means you're out. But you can end these agreements. The problem is when it's somebody who's your friend or your friend's relative or your relative's friend or a relative, you feel bad telling them you want out, right? So an agent should be in constant contact with you as a seller. He should tell you about offers. If you're not getting offers, that's a good sign you're priced too high. People don't think that I don't get offers because my house is in shitty condition or my house is in a shitty location. You don't get offers. Every property, no matter what the location, no matter what the condition, has a price. If you were priced right, you'd be getting offers. People don't understand that. But if you're getting showings and no offers, it's always because of price. Always. And sometimes we've had to drop a price. It happens sometimes. But that may be a price that you need as a seller, right? That might be what you have to pay. That might be what you need to go wherever you're going. But the market is going to dictate what price your property is going to go for. And it's important that you use an agent who knows what they're doing. And it's also important that you use an agent who has your best interests at heart and who's going to really do the things that most people don't do. Me being somebody who both buys properties and sells properties and also represents people as an agent, I do all those things for my own properties. I do things for my own properties that no agent does, right? So I'll pay for Facebook advertising. I'll pay for professional photography. I do things that nobody else does, and at my own expense. So I highly recommend that you use us, but if not, at least use someone who is going to let you negotiate on the commission and let you negotiate on the time. I hope this was helpful. Thank you very, very much for watching.